local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us, taking a look here at the live shot of downtown Portland. It is very nice outside. I'm sure a lot of you are out enjoying that weather right now. And of course, tuning in to us because we're live streaming here every weekday starting at 1 p.m. Pacific. So thanks for joining us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, our website, and our apps. So lots of places to find the show. And of course, watch the segments afterward. Right now, though, we are talking about an epic music performance, an epic four-hands piano performance that is coming up on May 31st as part of the Portland Youth Philharmonic's 100th season finale. And it's two epic musicians. I'm saying epic a lot because it really does apply here, but joining us right now, we have from classical music in the wild, we have Hunter Noack, we have Thomas Lauderdale from Pink Martini, and both of you guys, thank you very much for joining us here today. You know, I was having a hard time coming up with how to describe what it is that you're doing because it's so interesting, and I figured, you know, to start off, maybe one of you could give a description and definition of what this performance is that you're going to be doing.
Well, we're playing George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue for four hands and orchestra. The piece was written 100 years ago. It's fitting that that we're performing it for the 100th anniversary of Portland Youth Philharmonic, which is the oldest youth orchestra in America, actually. And so we're playing this piece. Which is sort of at the intersection of jazz with classical, with 100 musicians from the Portland Youth Symphony tomorrow night on May 31st at the Schnitz Concert Hall.
Just all of it added in together. I mean, that's so many different moving pieces and so many, poignant things in there as well. 100th year of this piece, 100th year of the PYP. I mean, all that coming together. I mean, Hunter, asking you here, how did you feel about coming together for this kind of performance and performing with the Youth Philharmonic in general?
I mean, it's really exciting. Thomas has been playing this piece since he was 13, so he knows it inside and out. This particular arrangement that we're doing for four hands on one piano with the orchestra is something that Thomas and I have been working on for a few years. And it's got a little bit of Marx Brothers. It's a little bit, it's a little bit more kind of entertaining than your typical piano concerto. And the orchestra sounds phenomenal. We just had a rehearsal last night. They're just like, they're the best young musicians around. And so we're really excited to play there. And of course, at the Schnitz Concert Hall, which is, the most, it sounds even better now. Now that they've installed the Meyer sound system. So we're really excited to be part of this big celebration.
Well, you mentioned that you've been working on this for a while. I mean, I got to say, not only just performing with an orchestra, and we'll talk about the orchestra here coming up as well, but performing together as you do, two people, four hands, one piano, all combining that together. How long did it take to work out the coordination on doing something like that?
It's ongoing. It changes it kind of sort of changes from performance to performance. It sort of began maybe a couple of years ago when we did a collaboration with Oregon Ballet Theater, and then at that point it was two pianos, and then we decided to do two pianos with orchestra, and then we decided then to do one piano with four hands and one orchestra. So it's constantly sort of evolving.
And how much, does it, when you start doing that, if you guys have been performing like this forever, can you sense what each other is going to do? I mean, have you just rehearsed this so many times it, or is it like moving as one musician?
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes even if I sort of get lost in a place, Thomas will sort of reach over and take over. And likewise, sometimes we'll be performing on small benches, so we really have to jostle each other out of the way. But we almost always, I would say we always have a great time. And it's especially fun because we both now know the piece pretty well. We can kind of play with it and have fun and improvise even in the moment.
And part of that improvising, I mean, working on that together. So you mentioned this isn't, I mean, already just this description, it's not a normal musical performance, that people may be used to seeing. So when it comes to that side of things, the improvising and the moving around, the physical performance side of it, can you give people just a description of what that's like, what they're gonna get to see?
Well, you'd have to. I mean, should we take it over? Should we take it over to the piano and show you?
I think that I think that would absolutely be the best way possible that we could have this work. Okay, this is perfect. So, so I'm assuming we're in one of your houses right now. So we're going to be getting this a live performance here. This is exactly the kind of thing. I mean, we don't need me on the screen for this. Let's pull this right up here. Here is a demonstration live here on the show.
Okay. All right. Here it is.
Fantastic.
Cross over, we cross over each other, and then we've got our dog here too.
I know. I was going to say the dog in the shot as well. That's just the added bonus. Anytime you get a dog cameo in there, but I mean, fantastic. That was fantastic. How long, seriously, have you been practicing that? Just the two of you?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, we've been working on various versions of this for a couple years.
Few years.
But in terms of, I mean, he's been on the road. I've been on the road with Pink Martini. He's been on the road with In a Landscape, Classical Music in the Wild, where he takes a 9-foot Steinway out in the wild and plays outdoors with people listening to the music with wireless headphones. So he's been sort of touring. I've been touring in Europe. He's been touring in California. He's about to do some concerts in like Warm Springs on Saturday, and
Over in Central Oregon for the weekend.
and I'm doing a sort of a part of a benefit for the East Side Jewish Community Center on Sunday. So we're all over the place. So when we're not that often together in one room in one place.
Yeah.
Today is rare. Today is rare.
Yeah, you're busy guys, obviously, with all of that going on. But I mean, that's so incredible bringing that together. So what is it for you guys, performing with the Portland Youth Philharmonic, going back to that side of things as well, performing with, these 100 musicians, these kids, what is it, I mean, young people, I guess, what is it like, being able to perform with them and interact with them and work with them as you go through this process?
Well, it's really, really cool because, I mean, the thing is, if you're a young classical musician in this culture, I mean, there aren't that many opportunities to. I mean, it's it used to be 50 years ago, 75 years ago, every young person, every young American learned how to play the piano, for example, or learned how to play an instrument, and those opportunities are fewer and fewer in this culture, and so this orchestra is an amazing chance for young musicians to actually not only practice but perform and do concerts. So it's a very rare thing. We actually have 2 youth orchestras in this city. There's also Metropolitan Youth Symphony, and so it's sort of unheard of to be we're a relatively small city. But to have 2 youth orchestras in one city is incredible.
And performing, for this 100th season, like, how does it feel for you guys to be here performing for this finale of this 100th season of the Portland Youth Philharmonic?
Well, it's an honor. It's a real honor to be part of it. I grew up in Portland, so I very much was familiar with the Portland Youth Philharmonic and their conductor, Mr. Jacob Asher-Lomoff, who led the orchestra for 40 years. And 20 years ago, I played Rhapsody in Blue with this same orchestra, but under the direction of Mayan Chen. And so it's great to actually play with that orchestra every 20 years. Actually, and also, Pink Martini, when we play sometimes on New Year's Eve, we also bring Portland Youth Philharmonic to join us on stage at the Schnitz. So we've played with these musicians for years.
Right, and playing with them for years, and you getting to perform with them, and then interact with these people. And as you mentioned, classical music, there's not a lot of avenues, as you mentioned, as there used to be for that. And Hunter, speaking to that, you've certainly taken classical music into some really interesting areas with the concerts outdoors and everything that you're doing there in the wild. And how important do you think it is for youth today to have that avenue and to learn about classical music?
It's so important. And what was really cool about watching last night's rehearsal is just hearing how the conductors are interacting with musicians, kind of helping the young musicians kind of see the humanity in this music and feel the relevance of this great music that was maybe written 100 or 200 years ago, but still can move us and has that incredible power. And so it's I feel like the PYP and Metropolitan Youth Symphony, these organizations are critical for like connecting the next generation of artists with this amazing music, so that it has a chance to live on, and with and for them to continue to perform it and love it.
Right, yeah, and be able to grow with it and have that opportunity, and maybe avenues even beyond this, or at least having that experience in life. And
I think a lot of these young people are going to go off to college and study music. Actually, that's my impression.
Yeah, and so be able to continue on with that and have this really great foundation to go in and explore that maybe as a career. And talking about the experience of it, May 31st, so this is the big show. So for people who are coming down to it, maybe who haven't seen something like this, or maybe it's their first time going to a symphony, what is the experience that you would like the audience to walk away with?
That's interesting. I think part of the experience is listening to, this is a very large orchestra, so the sound will fill up the hall, and it's a beautiful hall. I think part of the experience is just like going out downtown to hear really beautiful music. There are also Schubert's on the program as well, so it's a great kind of combination of entertaining music, of like exceptionally romantic, just exquisite music, and I hope what people walk away from this evening feeling is like, first of all, that was really fun. I didn't know that this concert was going to be that fun, and second, like I want to come see another show, whether it's the Oregon Symphony, or whether it's another a play downtown or something. Just like we all need to kind of get back into the habit of going to see live shows, supporting not only our young artists, but supporting our arts institutions, because those institutions are what make Portland fun and livable, and they are what are going to drive Portland forward in its healthiest.
Yeah. The arts of all those different ways that you were talking about, including going to these live performances like that, and to that extent, looking at where Portland is now and having things like this happen downtown, how important do you think? I guess, well, you kind of answered that as far as the drive, and what that's going to be doing as far as driving some of those changes. But how important do you think it is to continue down this path of having more live performances, having more people involved, and getting the community back together downtown?
Well, it's totally important. Without I feel like, well, Patrick had a good point recently, which is that now these days people aren't really going to their offices; they're working a lot remotely from home. And so I think that what the future of Portland is, it has to do with people living downtown, and those what's going to encourage people living downtown is sort of a healthy arts ecosystem, a healthy, like, restaurants, all of this stuff, the art museum, the libraries, these things that actually draw people and make our communities better. So I think that the health of of all of these organizations is absolutely tied up with the future of the city of Portland.
My last question. You're going back to the Youth Philharmonic. Do they ask you a lot of questions? Are they engaged in asking you advice and questions as you go through these rehearsals with them?
We haven't had a real opportunity to interact like that, but it would be great to do that actually.
Yeah, and in times when you've worked with them in the past, like if oftentimes after a Pink Martini concert that the Youth Philharmonic is a part of, in the rehearsals or afterwards, then there's more of a chance to kind of interact, and the students or the young people that are part of this the symphony or the Philharmonic have been like very, very engaged, very curious, and also very like receptive and open to to what you have to offer.
That's great. So they're open to all of that, and I think the final thing I would ask you guys is, what piece of advice, if they did ask what piece of advice would you give to any kind of young musician out there who's, whether they're in the Philharmonic or not, somebody who's just starting out, maybe seeing some frustrations, and what advice would you give to them?
Find ways to collaborate with other people, whether it's other musicians, whether it's at church, whether it's at a company, whether it's at school. Find ways to collaborate with other artists, whether it's dancers, cross-pollinating, thinking about ways. I think that the most important thing is to figure out opportunities to actually work with other musicians, with other people. I think a lot of people are sort of practicing and making music kind of by themselves in their rooms, but without interacting with other people. And I think that actually collaboration and learning how to get along with other people and how to negotiate and how to collaborate is the very best thing.
And it also helps like crystallize what it is that you want. Like if you're doing an artistic collaboration and you want to play a piece of music, then you suddenly have to articulate why, and you have to bring people in, and there's kind of it I think helps sharpen that emotional and intellectual connection to the artwork when you have to collaborate.
Amazing. Yeah. So getting that back together and interacting with people and having that sense of community, all bring it together. Well, the community is going to be there tomorrow, May 31st, depending on when people are watching this, May 31st, for this show. And Thomas and Hunter, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate too the impromptu performance and the dog appearance, a bonus thrown in there. Thank you guys, and congratulations, and good luck tomorrow. And looking forward to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
You bet. And for everybody watching, again, this is Fox 12 Now. Thanks for being here. We are live streaming every weekday starting at 1 p.m. We cover a wide range of topics, and sometimes we have a four-hands piano performance that just happens during the show. So we've got more coming up, so stick around. We'll be back in a few with more Fox 12 Now.